This is the State of the School 2024. This is my 27th video in this series, and I'm talking about botany, uh, related to my own personal history and therefore this land. For about 1 year, Bedford had a pinetum, Pinetum, a pinetum. Actually, it was Bedford Middle School's pinetum, but it was a beauty. It was small. Well, it was small, but it was wonderful. Uh, I, when I was teaching in that school, uh, teachers had to have clubs sometimes. I continued to have clubs long after teachers weren't required to do that anymore, and I had all kinds of clubs. Uh, a lot of them were to get the kids out of the building for at least one period that day, whenever the clubs met. It might have been every day at something. Anyway, one of the clubs I had was a garden club. I think that's what I called it. And I would take the kids out and we'd go walking up through the streets of Bedford and look at the various plants and bushes and gardens and whatever. It was great. We even went down to the grocery store one time, and the kids went all out through the grocery store to see how many plants were being sold there in some form or other, and I think they came up with 120 or something like that. There were probably a few more than that. But anyway, more to the point, when I had that club, the administrator, I think it was, came up with a grant. They wanted to replant the planting at the front of the school where people could sit on a bench on a wall, and there were flowers and stuff like that between them and the building. And he came with a grant, up with this grant. It was more than $1,000, I think. And I decided to put a pinetum in there, and I got the okay. A pinetum is like an arboretum. It's not a collection of flowers. It's a collection of needle-bearing plants, not only pines. There can be ceders there and cypresses there. What are the other ones? Hemlocks. There's maybe 6 or more species, or I should call them genera, genuses that were represented. And pinetums are not that common, but I thought, what an opportunity. And so with that $1,000 and school transportation, one spring, we went around to all the nurseries that we could reach easily and bought basically one example of a needle-bearing, an evergreen plant of various sizes. They ended up being small at the front and big at the back, and they had to be such that they wouldn't outgrow and break the walls out with their roots. They'd have to be pruned a lot to maintain them. But we came up with about 30, I think, in the range of 30 different shades of green that would be there all year round. And not only 30, in the springtime, now we planted this in the late spring, but by the next spring, I don't know if we saw this effect that first year or not, by the next spring, when evergreens put out their new growth, they're often called candles. They put up these candles, which are a lighter shade of green. And so this pinetum was like a showcase of, at its maximum, maybe 50, maybe 60 different shades of green, and half that many, well, just that many textures of needles. It was such a beautiful thing. And we planted it, and the custodians got into it. They watered it all summer. The principal, he even helped to work the ground up to plant them. I mean, we were really proud of it. It was a beautiful place to sit in front of all this green. It was award-winning because the community, the Garden Club of Bedford, awarded us with the title of the best commercial, maybe it was commercial garden of the month, garden of the month. So it was great, but it's gone. At the end of that completing that first year, I think it was, I got a call here at home or somewhere, the principal told me that it all had to be taken out. Why? Because there had been mass shootings. at schools. And it was seen as a place where a shooter could hide himself in among the greenery. All the greenery, all the shrubbery and stuff from anywhere around the building had to be removed. So I didn't have much time at all. It was the end of the year, and we got into it with my pickup truck, and the kids helped, and the school custodians and stuff, they helped to the extent that they could too. And I tried to rescue all those plants and bring them out here to the farm and replant them. I have a place up here on the hill where I had chosen to do it, complete with some heavy concrete blocks that we'd sit on, and we really worked on it. But the ground had already turned like cement here. It was too late in the year to be transplanting a tree. And I also didn't have that water supply. And so ultimately, and then eventually the goats got into them, and they found them pretty tasty. So it was gone. Here and there's a couple of them left as a remnant of it, but it's there as a memory. For a while, Bedford had a truly beautiful Pinetum, the best I think I've ever seen. Joyce and I sometimes would go to the planting of pines in the Arnold Arboretum in Boston, Massachusetts, on a February, a sunny February. And you could go in there and be completely surrounded by green and sunny and warm in February. It was great. I wouldn't mind having a Pinetum again sometime, but it would have to be taken care of. And so it's basically a memory. Bye for now.